Howdy and welcome to my channel. How I'm doing today? I'm doing fabulous.
Music. I don't know why every video essay has to start off with the main topic being said, but music. Have you heard of it before? Because if not, that's kind of the only way you're gonna get what's going on here. Some years are better than others, but it's kind of like how every parent actually has a favorite kid and they won't say it. Because we know that 2016 was one of the best years ever for the sweet summer of Pokemon Go. And now children have to suffer through the harsh winter of Dress to Impress. And I feel really bad for them.
We are playing the brand new Dress to Impress Christmas update.
A minor. It's not gonna be a good one. At least they know how to make a hair, ribbon, dress, outfit that's really crazy. 2014 might have been one of the best years ever for movies. Now, this is when some old head comes in and is like, well, 1999 had The Matrix, and I'm gonna let you finish. But I hadn't developed a human memory card back then, so I can't really speak to that. The real feeling of a year comes from the memories that we have attached to it. So while I'd love to just scroll through a million Wikipedia articles about years of music, I'm doing this out of recency bias. What do you think the best year is for music? Please tell me. I'd like to know. Willie. I really would. Alright. Keep yapping, man.
Keep yapping, man.
Basically, if 2024 is a chocolate river, I'm chunky little Augusta Scoop because I'm drowning in the music, man. I can't listen to it all. Help me out of this river, I'm drowning in the music. It seems like every artist that I listen to has came out with a record or a single or even like a bonus track. You like J. Cole? You got music. You like Kendrick Lamar? You got music. You like him young? You got music. My favorite album this year is Clancy by 21 Pilots, which
Of course.
I've been talking about them on and on since before every emo kid was wearing that super tight shirt that was in dire need of a little TC Tugger.
You don't make jokes about them.
You can hate all you want, but you either change your mind or you live long enough to see yourself become Ed Sheeran.
This has been, I think, one of my favourite records of the year. It is 21 Pilots, an album called Clancy. It's just a really, really great album. It's just a really, really great album.
There's a few key songs that I want to point out this year, and the first has to be Next Semester. If you haven't heard it, oof, oh my gosh. It's powerful. It's emotional. And sometimes we've all felt like we can't change what we've done. And if you don't like that, then you're not going to like the themes of growth and change through hard times on this album, and maybe you're just a boring little person who's always gonna stay the same way. I was watching this one guy who was just reacting to the album for the first time, and it was hilarious because every time he ended a song he just added it right away, and he was like, that was a good one, and by the time that he got all the way through the album he was just like,
hey, there's really like 13 songs of just pure greatness.
I'm not going to try to sell you on 21 Pilots. It's a lifestyle, and you wouldn't understand, Mom. But in the week of Clancy's release, I was already trying to listen to Billie Eilish and Wallows. Which Wallows? What are you doing, dude? You release half of your album as singles, so by the time the album's out, I've heard half of it. Stop putting out half of your album as singles. I want to be surprised. Needless to say, I started to feel overwhelmed because I couldn't even listen to one album and I can't even digest it, and then they're piling up like things that pile up on top of each other, and there's so many of them that I'm like, man, why do these things keep piling up? I think that makes sense. Remy Wolf is one of my favorite artists ever, and I didn't listen to her album right away. I let it go for weeks because around that time, I was already trying to listen to Bando Stone and Role Model's new album, which...
Now he's thinking about me every night. Oh, isn't that sweet? We are Charlie Puth.
That is a standout for me this year. Kansas Anymore is amazing. It's probably one of my most listened to. I love it. This is like his best stuff that he's ever put out. It encapsulates heartbreak in a super honest way. You know, it's not clean. It's like a dirty soul, like the dirty sole of a shoe. Like every girl's favorite pair of Sambas that they had to break in this year, which I was ahead on the trend. I was doing that a couple years ago. I don't know what to tell you. Don't lump me in with them. I'm going to make a Spotify playlist and put it in the description of all my favorite music from this year. But if you're really into crying, you like crying, I would check that album out because it's very good. Are you into crying? You like to cry?
What's my mother gonna say when I come home crying?
Back to Donald Glover. He has consistently said he's done with music in different ways. And we get 2 albums from him this year. One that's revamped, and if you haven't heard Final Church, even when it came out the first time, I feel like nobody was talking about it. We have a soundtrack to a movie that I'm convinced doesn't exist. So there's that. I have it on my Letterboxd watch list. Doesn't mean that it's ever coming out. This album does have so many earworms. Yoshinoya, Survive, Dadvocate, to name a few. But Lithonia, oh my gosh. This song, I get little R.L. Steins over my body, just all over when he sings, my sweet Lithonia, these are your children. I am your son. I've abandoned my child. I've abandoned my boy. I think this year we entered into a parallel timeline because Post Malone is making country music and Kanye is making Jews scared. For real, why don't you stop worrying about how Vultures is feeling and start worrying about how the culture's feeling? Speaking of, this year was graced with the most original beef since I inherited my brother's restaurant and had to start saying yes chef to everything. Yes
Okay,
chef.
I'll find
Yes
every
chef.
now. I
Yes chef. I'm talking Kung Fu versus
Anita Max win.
Euphoria was my favorite of all the tracks. It had me feeling like Joel Osteen. Because if there's a hurricane, I'm not letting none of you poor people into my church.
What top 5 you smoking on, Kendrick? Because my top 5 is Drake.
Drake.
If we broke it off, then you know it wasn't painless.
That man got the best sleep of his life because of a Drake album. When I get in my car, I have to listen to music on the radio for about 3 seconds as I tap my Bluetooth 88 times for it to come on. And sometimes I hear Not Like Us playing at like 2 p.m. in the middle of the week. And I just think a song about Degrassi Drake being a predator just playing in the middle of a random Tuesday. And that's why this year is a great year for music. Personally, if I was Drake, I'd be more embarrassed than every person that pushed someone out of the way on screen to do the Apple dance at a concert, which that's embarrassing. And that makes me think there's no greater album with a green background and black text than Chromacopia. One of the best ways to analyze the culture and what is trending is to see what Taylor Swift is doing. That's why I'm buying a private jet so I can fly to Buc-ee's whenever I run out of whatever a beaver nugget is. Asking if Taylor Swift has released this year is like asking if Chapel Roan has yelled at someone recently. Because yes, she has. Sorry. Tortured Poets might be one of the best examples for what I'm talking about this year. It's a lot, and I think for a Swiftie, it's great. It's like putting a crackhead in a record store, and all the records are made out of crack. I have 2 Swiftie friends on the opposite ends of this. I have one saying it's the best album she's ever made, and I have another saying, I mean, it's all right.
It's all right. Like,
is this my favorite Taylor album? No. Do I understand what guy she's talking about on half of these songs? No. Is this the most Taylor Swift of her ever? You betcha. Maybe that's what 2024 is, though. Is this the best year of music? Hard to say. But is it the most music? You betcha. Don't believe me? This busy nerd had to start hiring help. I used to use TikTok. I don't anymore. Yes, thanks for asking. I am better than you. That being said, I no longer understand the phrase, oh, is that the TikTok song? It's kind of nice that way. I am just enjoying things without knowing whether or not I should be annoyed by them. Birds of a Feather might be one of my most listened to songs this year. I will confirm that with Spotify Wrapped once it's come out. Does that make me basic? Probably. Do I care? Probably also yes. But you know what? Pop music tastes real good when you ain't got a girl in your ear telling you it's nasty. And maybe from an outsider's perspective, I just listen to a lot of pop music. I listen to a lot of other stuff too, but maybe 2024 is just the year of the most pop. But I've been on this song since the moment that it came out, and I have receipts. And I'm ashamed to admit that I don't listen to anything else from this album. But you know what? Birds of a Feather left me full. Remy Wolf is one of those people making no skip albums. And I love this album she came out with. And she gave me the idea that what if we had a record store and all the albums in the record store were made out of crack? Comment if you want a crack record album store.
But yeah, if I was near Sheetz and it's late at night and I was especially a raging alcoholic, this is what I get.
It's impossible to tackle everything that I want to in a non-3-hour YouTube dissertation. So what I'm going to do is recommend you check out that playlist. And then also here is an album recommendation for everybody in a stereotypical household. Dad, Vampire Weekend. Mom, Maggie Rogers or Raven Lenae. Indie Daughter, The Last Dinner Party or Clairo. Thought Daughter, Sabrina Carpenter. Yeehaw Thought Son, Zach Bryan, and Post Malone. Depressed Son, Rex Orange County, The Alexander Technique, one of the best albums this year. Finally is great. 2008 is great. Your cat should listen to Lizzie McAlpine, and your dog should listen to JPEG Mafia until it decides to join the army.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and please leave a comment. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Boy, you wimpy, you wimpy, you wimpy, you wimpy, boy, you wimpy, you wimpy, you wimpy, you wimpy, boy, you wimpy, you wimpy, you wimpy, you wimpy, boy, you wimpy.